Welcome back, friends. In this lesson, you are going to learn about the forms and qualities of the 9 planets. We differentiate between the astronomical planet that is in the sky, where we have the sun as this big ball of fire and light, where we have the moon as an apparently sandy planet full of dust, or Mars as this hot red planet full of iron. We differentiate between these astronomical phenomena that we can see in the skies and their qualities as personalities, as different deities from whom we are inheriting our characters and skills in this lifetime. Learning about the planets is like learning a new language. When we learn a new language, first we have to learn how to read the alphabet. Once we know the alphabet, we can read words, we can form sentences, and we can understand stories and greater narratives. So in the same way, if we like to be able to read the story that is written in the night sky, we have to familiarize ourselves with the alphabet or with the 9 planets. So let's begin. Let's start learning about the sun. The sun is described as Sarvatma. Sarvatma means the soul of all. The sun is the primary indicator of ourself. In the same way, like the sun is in the center of this universe, illuminating the entire universe, so also the soul is situated in the center of our body, in the heart, illuminating this entire body with consciousness. Wherever the sun is placed in our horoscope will indicate areas that we identify with. Where do we feel like ourselves? Where do we feel seen? Which career path do we want to follow can also be seen from the sun. Like in the same way, when the sun is up at midday, the sun is seen and illuminating our day. So also wherever the sun is placed in our horoscope, that is where we feel like we are becoming ourselves. It is the soul that actually gives life to the body. Therefore, the sun also is a key indicator for our vitality. If the sun was in a favorable place during our birth, we will have good health and strong vitality. While if the sun was in an unfavorable or challenging position, we could struggle with our health in this lifetime. In Ayurveda, one of the greatest ways to improve our health is to align with the natural rhythm of the sun. This is called dinacharya, daily routines, or ritocharya, seasonal routines. Both daily routines and seasonal routines are connected to the movement of the sun. And if we practice them, if we wake up before the sunrise, go to sleep slowly after sunset, have our biggest meal at lunchtime, if we sleep at night and are awake during the day, if we are stable and steady like the sun, then we can also ensure that we have strong health and vitality. The sun is the king among all the planets. So also if the sun becomes very strong in a horoscope, then a person will aspire and act as if they are a king. They want to lead. They can become actors, or they like to make drama. They naturally demand, command, respect. Birds are also connected to the sun because birds fly in the sky like the sun, which is this big ball of fire that is flying through the sky. The sun is also connected to Sattvaguna. Sattvaguna is the mode of goodness. In Vedic philosophy, in yoga, in Ayurveda, in Vedic astrology, there are 3 gunas, 3 modes of nature, like 3 threads that are strung into each other, that are forming the fabric of this world, that are forming the fabric of this universe. And the mode of goodness, Sattvaguna, is that thread which maintains life. It's this principle of sustenance, of nourishment, of that which is giving and maintaining life. And the sun has this Sattvaguna. The sun is the planet that gives us our personality. So if there are afflictions to the sun, then a person can be more prone to personality disorders. If the sun is with Saturn, then a person will be more prone to its insecurity. If the sun is with Rahu, a person will be more prone to narcissistic personality disorders. If the sun is with Mars, a person will be more prone towards anger. And if the sun is of the moon, well, then we have a new moon. We'll speak about that later. In our body, the sun is connected to the bones. In Ayurveda, we call it Astidhatu. The bones are the central structure that are holding up the body, and therefore, of course, they're connected to the sun. So if a person has a problematic sun in their horoscope, not only will they have a difficult time finding themselves, they will lack confidence, they might lack leadership ability, but also their posture, their bones, they won't hold themselves properly, making them more prone to disorders with their bones. The sun is of fiery nature, and therefore if the sun influences a person's body, the sun will give a pitta constitution. Pitta people, they are fiery, they are strong, they are muscular. They can be a little bit more harsh. The sun is also krura, it is a malefic. The sun can make a person harsh but fair. Come, let's hear about the moon. The moon is the primary indicator for our mind, our emotions, and our inner well-being. The sun represents singularity, while the moon represents two. The moon has no light to shine by itself, but the moon reflects the light of the sun. So in the same way also our mind, it does not operate by itself, but it reflects the light of our soul. It only works because of the presence of the soul. In the same way, like a computer has a hardware, a software, and then a user, but cannot operate independently of the user. Even if we have an automated software, we needed a user to set up and initiate the process. So in the same way also, our body and our mind do only function because of the presence of the soul. The sun is fixed and steady, so therefore also our real self is unchanging. It is untouched by all the ups and downs of our human journey. By the mind, it is always changing, it is very flickering, like the moon. One day the moon is full, the next day the moon is new. Every night the moon looks slightly different. So also our mind, it is always changing. Our mind, it represents a reflection of reality. It represents an illusory reality, like the moon. So if we direct our lives to find satisfaction in our mind, then that satisfaction will be temporary. While if we direct our search for happiness in the sun, in our soul, that satisfaction can actually last. Wherever the moon was placed during our birth will determine the filter through which we see this world. It will determine the color of our mind. The moon is also connected to food. It is the light of the moon that nourishes all the fruits and all the vegetables. If we plant something during an eclipse, where there is absolutely no light of the moon, then that food is not going to grow. If we plant something on a new moon, also the chances are it is not going to grow so well. It will lack that initial nourishment. Therefore, if the moon is well placed in the horoscope of a person, they will love food and they'll be happy to taste all different types of foods. While if the moon was not so well placed during birth, then a person will be very particular about the foods they eat. It will be very hard for them to find satisfaction and nourishment. And we can see how the food we eat also has an immediate effect on our mind and our emotional well-being. We can clearly see that eating the wrong foods, it will not distort our personality and our sense of self, not the sun, but it will distort our mood, which is connected to the moon. And we can see how many mental imbalances come together with unhealthy eating habits or eating disorders. The moon in the planetary cabinet, she is the queen. The queen is sitting very close to the king, and she is taking advice from the king or advising the king. So also the mind, that is very close to ourself. And sometimes it is taking orders from ourselves, and sometimes it is giving orders in return. The sun indicates the original principle of masculinity. This masculine principle, it is shining in the dark. It is standing without fear in a place that is otherwise dangerous or fearful or threatening or unknown. Like the sun is standing strong and steady in this otherwise dark universe. While the moon represents the original principle of femininity. Therefore, the moon represents emotions and feelings and this desire to taste different type of experiences. In a healthy society, the masculine and the feminine principle, they balance each other, they support each other. So also in ourselves, and if we live a healthy lifestyle, there is somewhat a balance between the desires in our mind and our soul. And they work together rather than against each other. The placement of the sun, therefore, will also indicate our relationship with our father, and the placement of the moon will indicate the relationship with our mother. If the sun was very strong during our birth, we'll tend to have a more positive relationship with our father, hence a more positive sense of self, hence a better posture, how we carry ourselves, hence a clearer direction for our career. If we have a good relationship with our mother, then naturally we'll have a stronger mind. We have a greater ability to process emotions, and we'll have a deeper sense of happiness in our life too. Because we have a home, we were loved as we were growing up. The moon is also connected to Sattva Guna, similar to the sun. If there are problems with the moon, then that can harm our Sattva Guna, our ability to have balanced emotions. So all mood disorders such as anxiety or depression, they are connected to the moon. There is this famous theory in modern psychology, it's called attachment theory, which says that the first year of life and our relationship with our mother determines how we bond with other people forever, for the rest of our life. And this is true, but if we know astrology, we can say, oh, actually, it was not just the first year of life in our relationship with mother, but it was the position and the karma that we have with the moon at birth, because we can see the relationship with mother from the moon at birth. And therefore, if the moon was with Saturn, a person will have more avoidant tendencies. If the moon was with Mars or influenced by Mars, a person will be more anxious. And if the moon was with Rahu, he will be somewhere in between avoidant and anxious. In the same way, moon with Rahu can give a person anxiety, moon with Saturn can make a person a bit heavy or depressed, and the moon with Mars can make a person a little bit reactive or angry. The moon, in the same way, is connected to not just the mother, which is the first other person in our life, but also to society in general. And we can see in the modern world, there's a big problem of loneliness, because people, they feel so isolated from everyone else, which is causing a lot of mental strain. This really aligns to the position of the moon in Vedic astrology, because the moon does not like to be alone. The moon needs to be with other planets to feel content. And since the moon is connected to both our mental well-being and to society, it is no wonder that many people who are removed from society will also have difficulties with the moon. In our body, the moon is connected to Rakta Dhatu. Rakta Dhatu is our blood, and therefore we speak of our family line, we call it our bloodline, because the moon is our family. We don't say my muscle line or my fat line, we say my bloodline, because subconsciously we all understand that it is the moon which governs family and which also governs blood. And therefore problems with the moon can not only give a bad diet, but they can also give blood disorders such as being low iron. And in Ayurveda, blood has every organ has an emotion. The emotion of blood is enthusiasm. Thus, if a person has problems with their blood, they can feel fatigued. If there's problems with the moon, a person is more likely to be fatigued. Now, let's hear about Mars. Mars is the indicator for our strength, courage, and ambition. If Mars is very strong in a horoscope, individuals become very good in achieving what they want. They are slightly more competitive. We could even say a little bit aggressive. They're ready to stay strong and stand up for themselves. In the planetary cabinet, Mars is the general, and the general ideally should follow the orders of the king. So in the same way also, our ambition and our drive should align with the desire of our soul. A country becomes unfunctional if the army or the general does not follow the orders of the king or the president. In the same way also, our life, it becomes unfunctional if our ambition and our drive does not align with the story of our self, with the story of our sun or the placement of our sun. Mars is connected to the fire element. The fire element is the principle of transformation. Fire is not just a flame, but is this principle that turns one substance into another. So therefore, if Mars becomes very strong in a chart, people have the ability to transform themselves and others. These people, they like to be the agents of transformations in the world. Mars also has a Pitta constitution. The sun, however, gives a square shape and can make a person strong and muscular, but give a little bit more edges and corners like a square. While Mars is triangular, if Mars influences a person's physique, they have thin waist and strong shoulders, like a triangle, like a reverse triangle. They often have features in their face which also resemble a triangle, like a very strong jawline. In the face, Mars is connected to the eyebrows, so Mars can also give a big monobrow. Mars is connected to Tamaguna. Tamaguna is the mode of nature connected to ignorance. It is the mode of nature connected to cruelty, to madness, to violence. Therefore, Mars sometimes is found to like fighting more than the actual cause he is fighting for. Mars is also connected to things that are breaking. He's connected to accidents. Therefore, he can make engineers. He has among these 6 classical Indian philosophies, Mars is connected to Nyaya, which means logic. He can give a very rational mind. And children who have a strong Mars from a young age, they like to pull things apart, destroy things, and then build them together. Therefore, he can make great engineers, architects, because engineers, they are often breaking things, putting them back together in a new way. One lesson that Mars has to learn is non-violence. The sun has to learn humility. The moon has to learn that everyone is a family, not just our biological family. And Mars, he has to learn how to be humble, how to not hurt other people in his pursuits. Okay, let's learn more about Mercury. Mercury is the giver of speech. Mercury is connected to our intelligence. Mercury likes to speak in puns. He likes to make jokes that have double meaning that not everyone understands. In the planetary cabinet, Mercury, he's the prince. The prince, he does not have to work and he has all the resources. Therefore, Mercury, he just likes to play, make arts and solve crossword riddles. Mercury, among all the planets, he's very young. And therefore, persons who are influenced by Mercury in their personality, they can be a little bit more childlike. They like to play and have fun. They don't have the same seriousness like the sun or the moon or even Mars. Therefore, Mercury in the horoscope, he's also easily influenced by other planets. If Mercury is with the Sun, with Mars, Saturn or Rahu or Ketu, which are considered slightly more malefic planets, Mercury also will have a more harsher, direct nature. While if Mercury associates with the otherwise considered benefic planets, such as Jupiter, Venus, the Moon, then he will show a more graceful side, a more soft side of himself. Mercury is connected to the earth element, and thus he has a connection to business, because earth, it is connected to goods, to commercial produce, to money. And Mercury, he knows how to engage in business, how to make money. He loves to sell ideas. He also knows how to speak. He knows how to communicate. He knows how to sell. Mercury among gunas is connected to rajas, raja guna. We had sattva, the mode of goodness, the mode of maintenance, tamas, the mode of destruction, and rajas is the mode of creation, of passion. And therefore Mercury, he's moving very quickly. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. There's only one planet that moves faster than Mercury, and that is the Moon, the always flickering mind. But because Mercury is moving so quickly, also people influenced by Mercury, they're acting very quick. Maybe you remember that child in class who knew the answer even before the teacher has finished their question. That is Mercury. And that is why some people consider him the smartest. But Mercury, he's just the fastest. Actually, Jupiter, he is the smartest because he represents knowledge and wisdom. Come, let's learn more about Jupiter. Jupiter's natural signification are knowledge and happiness. Jupiter is connected to our pragya. Pragya is what we could translate as intuition, our inborn wisdom. There is this concept in the Vedic world that everybody has inborn intelligence and that we all ultimately know what is good for us if we only take the time to listen deeply. That is pragya, and that is Jupiter. If Jupiter is very favorable in horoscope, a person has this inner sense of knowingness. They know the truth and they're able to differentiate reality from illusion. In the planetary cabinet, Jupiter, he's the advisor, he's the counselor, and he's counseling the Sun and the Moon. Jupiter in particular, he's the favorite counselor of the Sun because he gives the best advice to ourselves for the good, not only now but also in the future, not only in this life but in all of them. Jupiter is also connected to Sattva Guna, and among all three Sattva planets, the Sun, Moon and Jupiter, Jupiter is the most powerful, he's the most magnificent. And if among all those three, even just Jupiter is very afflicted in a horoscope, there can be problems with our mental well-being. There can be difficulties in making meaning of the life. Jupiter is connected to disorders such as PTSD, where a person, post-traumatic stress disorder, where a person is not able to digest events that happen to them, where a person is not able to turn their life into a meaningful narrative. Jupiter in Sanskrit is called Guru, and therefore he's connected to all teacher figures in our life, to all guru figures. And of course, the person who has inner knowingness, he will be a natural teacher, he will be a born teacher. Jupiter among elements is connected to the space element, and therefore a person with a strong Jupiter has the ability to give space to others. He can facilitate everyone. If a person has a strong Jupiter, they can see the common thread between all the philosophies in the world. They can make space that can accommodate the differences that we see. While if a person has a more difficult Jupiter in their chart, it will be hard for them to make that space. When Jupiter is afflicted, a person can have a very narrow vision. They become very fundamental and self-righteous. Jupiter in the horoscope of a woman is also connected to the husband. For both genders, Jupiter is connected to children. And Jupiter, he likes to expand whichever he touches. Therefore, he's considered the greatest benefic. So to have a well-placed Jupiter in a horoscope, it's one of the single placements that can have the greatest effects. Indeed, some commentators on the classics even say that if Parashara is placed in the ascendant of the horoscope, if Jupiter was rising at the time of birth in the eastern direction, then this single placement, it can remove 100,000 flaws in the chart. In our body, Jupiter is connected to Meda Dhatu. Meda Dhatu is the adipose or fatty tissue, which includes the brain. Therefore, Jupiter also governs our brain. Mars was the nervous system. Mars was the general. And whom does the general follow? Well, the general follows the king, but the general also follows, of course, the advisors in the courtyard. And therefore, our nervous system does the best if it follows the directions of the brain. And if it does not do that, if there's afflictions to Mars, then we can have problems such as Parkinson's or other neurological disorders. Among foods, Jupiter is the fruit, and therefore and grains. Jupiter is also the fruit of our actions. Jupiter is the fruit of all of our punya karma, of all of our good deeds. And therefore, the times that are connected to Jupiter, they give us the fruits of our hard work. Okay, let's learn about Venus. Venus is the primary indicator for our love and sexuality. The placement of Venus at birth will determine how we receive and give love to others. Venus is also a counselor in the planetary cabinet. While Jupiter was the favorite counselor to the Sun, Venus is the favorite counselor to the Moon. Venus knows how to entice our mind with all types of pleasures and enjoyments, while Jupiter wants to ensure that there's happiness, not only now, but also in the future. Venus likes to enjoy this present moment, sometimes even forgetting about the consequences in the future. Venus is connected to the water element, and the water element gives us taste and flavor. Fire transforms. Earth gives stability, and it is water that gives nourishment. We all need some amount of enjoyment. We need some amount of love and sexuality in our life. That is the principle of Venus. Venus is connected to the Rajaguna. We have Mercury as a Rajaguna planet and Venus. Both of them have passion, both like to create. Mercury likes to create goods and ideas, while Venus likes to create other living entities, other living beings. Venus can also make a person very artistic and creative. Venus can give this eye for detail. Venus can also make a person very patriotic, a person who loves their country and is ready to die for their country. That is also seen by Venus. In the body, Venus is connected to Shukra Dhatu for men and Atharva Dhatu for women, which are the sexual fluids. In yogic culture, if a person controls their sexuality, they will have a natural shine among them. So also Venus is very strong. It can make a person glowing and effulgent. If Venus becomes very, very strong in a horoscope, a person can sometimes renounce their sexuality for a loving relationship with divinity. So we do sometimes find, even in the horoscopes of great saints and yogis and renunciants, a very strong Venus. In their case, their love is so great that they don't want to limit it just to a single person, but that they like to love the entirety of creation or even the source of creation. Venus in Ayurveda is connected to Kapha dosha. Kapha dosha is the water and earth element. It is that which makes the body a little bit more bulky and round. So therefore Venus makes a person very beautiful with everything in the right place, with round eyes and curvy lips, etc. In the face, Mars was the eyebrows, where Venus is the lips. The moon is the cheeks. Mercury is a good quality beard, Saturn the teeth, and Jupiter the nose. Let's hear about Saturn. Saturn, the last planet, he is the giver of grief. Saturn indicates limitations, burdens that we carry, and responsibility. He, with Mars, Rahu and Ketu, and also a little bit the Sun, is considered Krura. Krura means malefic, it means harsh. He is debatably one of the harshest planets. And his lessons, they're often connected to something that we have to let go or something that we have to give up. Indeed, it is Saturn, Mars, and the nodes, Rahu and Ketu, which are all connected to tamaguna, the mode of ignorance, which are the cause of all the pain and suffering in this world. In a planetary cabinet, Saturn is the masses. And since Saturn rules both the masses and decay, naturally everything that becomes very commercial, that becomes very big, it often tends to deteriorate and lose its quality. Like maybe you remember your favorite music group as when you were younger, and they were so great once they were small and not so well known, but then once they became world famous and their music did not express their own likings anymore but was catered to please the masses, it lost its quality. There was this good product of the small company that is just perfect, such a nice quality, but then once it got mass produced, it lost quality. That is Saturn, because he is the masses, and he is also the giver of grief. He is also decay. He is connected to time, and time, it decays everything, it destroys everything. Therefore, Saturn is that which destroys something to give birth to something new. Therefore, Saturn is death, and he also leads the way for rebirth. Wherever Saturn is in the horoscope, that is one area of our life where we have to practice detachment, where we have to let go, where there is a mark or a scar, where there is scarcity. Among elements, Saturn is the air element. And what does the air element do? The element, it dries out, it breaks. If we have some flour, that is the earth element, then we mix it with water. Water, it binds. Like Venus, she binds us. Love, sexuality, they bind us. So that bread, the flour and the water, it gets earth and water binds together. Then we put it in the oven, we heat it up, fire, it transforms. We have a new product, we have a bread, and then we leave it out in the air and it decays, it breaks. That is Saturn, the air element. In our body, Saturn is our muscles. A strong Saturn will give a person very strong muscles. A strong Saturn can make a person very disciplined and hardworking. While if Saturn is not so strong in the horoscope, a person will have weaker muscular development. And the masses, they follow the orders of the king and the queen, of the general. The masses, they have to fight in a battle that the general has ordered. So also the muscles in our body, they follow the directions of our nervous system. Saturn, he's very old, and therefore if Saturn becomes strong in the horoscope, a person can look older than their age. If Saturn was rising when a person was born, a person would have gray hairs very early, even in their 20s. Let's hear about the last two planets, Rahu and Ketu, the north and south node. Rahu and Ketu are shadowy planets. We cannot perceive them with the naked eye. They don't have a material, a physical form like the other planets. Rahu and Ketu, the north and the south node, are mathematical points that we can calculate. And whenever they align with the position of the earth, the moon and the sun, we have a solar or lunar eclipse. So Rahu and Ketu are the points that cause eclipses. In different traditions in India, there are very different ideas about Rahu and Ketu. There are often debates because these planets are very illusory, very shadowy. In every horoscope, they will show up a little bit different. Rahu, he's connected to our hankar, to our false ego. He is that which makes us identify with that which is not. He is that planet that drives us to identify with an illusion. He's connected to obsessions, to anything that is too much. By Ketu, he's the opposite. He's mokshakaraka. He just wants to leave this world. He has enough of it. In the ancient story of Rahu and Ketu, Rahu, he is the body. He's the head without the body. And as a head without the body, he can only eat and eat and eat. But he can never get satisfied because he does not have a body. He cannot enjoy. So therefore also Rahu, he drives us into situations and experiences where we desire more and more but are never satisfied. Ketu, he's the body without the head. And therefore he cannot eat, he cannot enjoy. and therefore he just wants to leave this world. So Ketu can make a person very interested in other worlds and spirituality. He can give psychic experiences, he can give out-of-body experiences, he can give great psychological depth. Rahu and Ketu also represent the masses. Rahu and Ketu are connected also to Tamaguna because they can create illusions. They don't correlate to any physical part in our body, but are connected to different thought processes. In Ayurveda, Rahu is connected to Tamas Vata, the air element in ignorance. So therefore he can cause disease which take away from our body. And Ketu is connected to Tamas Pitta, which is fire that is burning and harming ourselves. Wherever Rahu is situated in the horoscope, that is one area in our life that we can easily get obsessed about, that we are not satisfied about, and we like to dive deeper into. And whichever Ketu is in, that is one area of our life that we also cannot derive satisfaction, therefore we might try to avoid it. The notes are very mysterious and there's so much more to be said about them. But now let's continue our journey and explore how the 9 planets flavor the 12 zodiac signs. And why is there 12 zodiac signs? Why not 13? Why not 10? Please join me on this journey.